Yo, what's up, guys? Today I wanted to talk about how I don't think anyone really teaches people how to fail properly or how to fail better. And yeah, I know, you go to school and parents and stuff will tell you, keep your chin up, blah, 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 but no one really teaches you how to really keep going. And yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about that because I think it's actually really important. I think it's so easy to become overwhelmed with failure, which leads to you kind of living in your shell and living in comfort. And actually, it's important to embrace it. So yeah, I just want to talk about that today. The thing is, most of us are terrified of failing, but it's not because of the thing itself. It's because of what failure makes us feel like. I remember being back in school, and when you failed a test, it wasn't just you got some answers wrong. It was, you're behind, you're dumb, you're not going to make it. And failure wasn't just an event, it was a label. And now, that fear essentially follows you into adulthood. So what would end up happening is you wouldn't apply for a job because you might not get it, or you wouldn't start a project because people may laugh, or even you wouldn't even talk to a girl across the street because you think you may get rejected. And this is playing it safe. So if you continue to play it safe, in my opinion, I feel like this is just slow motion failure essentially. And I also feel that most of us aren't failing because we're trying and messing up, but failing because we're not even trying. And we'd rather preserve our ego than risk our potential. And to be honest, that's how dreams die. Not with some loud crash, but with quiet surrender. So if you're afraid of failing, it's okay. Don't worry about it too much. But just know this, fear of failure is often just fear of being seen as a failure. So don't try and hide from it. It's a strength to understand where you're struggling with and the things you can do to get ahead of that. But not doing anything about it and continuously playing it safe, that's stagnation. And where's stagnation going to take you? The part they don't tell you is that failing doesn't ruin your life as much as you may think it does, but avoiding growth will. You can fail 10 times and still move forward, but if you spend 10 years doing nothing because you're scared, you'll be in the exact same spot or worse. Because at that point, you haven't even just lost time. You've trained your brain to play it small. You've convinced yourself you're not someone who takes risks. And trust me, you don't want to be in that box. But when you actually think about why successful people are where they are, it's because they understand that failing is feedback. If you're failing, it means you're in the game. Like, it means you're actually somewhere, you're doing something, you're learning what doesn't work, or you're developing resilience, you're building real knowledge, not the kind you get from YouTube videos and self-help books. When you're in it, you're gonna feel it more because when you fail, it hurts. So you're gonna keep that. And this basically me repeating previous videos, but it's literally comfort. Playing it safe and creating that environment for yourself where you're not going to take risks is the worst thing you can do because it just kills progress. It's going to kill your potential. And if you're not risking failure, you're not growing. You're just coasting on autopilot, hoping things magically work out. But life doesn't reward safe players. Think about it. Who do you know that's rich, multi-millionaire or whatnot, whether it's an athlete or musician? None of them played it safe to get to where they wanted to get to. The thing is, failing is inevitable, but failing badly, in my opinion, is optional. And most people fail in a way that actually sets them back. They make it personal. They fail a job interview and start saying they're not cut out for it. Or they may start a business that doesn't take off and say stuff like, I'm not the entrepreneur type. And this isn't reflection. This is an identity crisis. Failing better means asking the question, what did I do or what can I do better? Not who am I or I shouldn't be here. You need to separate your actions from your identity and remember that you're not your mistakes. But at the same time, if you don't examine your mistakes, you're likely to repeat them. The other bad failure I can think about off the top of my head is the stubborn kind, where people do the same thing over and over again, hoping that the outcome may magically change. For example, when it comes to this YouTube channel, I'm starting to find out that I don't know, people aren't listening to some of the things I'm saying, but it's not because I'm talking wrong or my vocabulary is bad and stuff like this. Obviously, there's some things I can change here. Maybe I should just look at doing other things or talking about other topics or even playing other games. It's not YouTube ain't cut out for me. You got to be in it to win it. You got to be prepared to change. And if you continue to be stubborn, it's not brave. It's like emotional avoidance. Failing better means being humble enough to admit what you thought maybe didn't work and being curious to ask, what can I do next time, or what different things can I do to improve myself? And growth lives in that space between honesty and curiosity. So you got to make sure you're there, and that's where momentum happens as well. When it comes to the things I've done and what I could advise in regards to failing better is, first things first, take the L, but take it clean. When you mess up, the first instinct is probably to get a bit emotional, start deflecting or blaming yourself, but just pause. Let the failure sit there without a narrative. Like, you don't have to say it's because of this or that. Just chill for a bit. Don't call yourself an idiot. Don't go into a frenzy. Just take a breath and analyze the L. Just look at what you can do better. Look at what you can change. Look at who you can ask for help. Go on ChatGPT. Like, it doesn't really matter. I think it's just that taking the L and not getting too hyped up or angry about it, and understanding that if you failed, it means you hit a new checkpoint. You just got to get past that checkpoint. And yeah, I think another thing is get rid of the ego. In my opinion, ego is probably the number one blocker of growth. Like, your ego is going to try and protect you and say stuff like, it wasn't your fault, they just didn't understand you, you're too good for the opportunity anyway, all of that stuff. Like, don't feed into that too much. Elements of it can be true, but just be careful about how much you feed that to yourself, because it's not really going to drive you to go on and do more. Your ego doesn't change the situation. If you failed or you didn't get to where you got to, at the end of the day, it's an L, and just don't allow that ego to build over it. Take ownership of the L that's just happened and make changes for it yourself. Another piece of advice I think I would give is breaking the failure down into pieces. Like, just take, whether it's a video, it's a football performance, it's a musical performance, it doesn't really matter. Try and break it down into sections to understand, what elements of it you need to change and whatnot. For example, when it comes to like this YouTube video, not this video, but any video in particular, oftentimes when I see a video that's done very well, I try to look back at that video and see, what can I add to new videos I'm gonna make to kind of get that level of success. And same things is when I'm a video that got an L. I think I made a video, I think it's on like 30 views, I forgot what it was, but yeah, I just looked at, was it my hook? Do I don't sound excited enough? Just play around with it, and make changes. And you're not always gonna fix it in the next, thing you do, which comes on to another point, which is to like tweak one thing. Again, staying on the topic of a YouTube video, I wouldn't suggest changing the thumbnail, changing description, and changing every element of your style of YouTube video. I would say you have all the time in the world. Don't rush. Change the title and see if that makes a difference. Change your tone in your videos for a few videos and see if that makes a difference. Maybe just change the gameplay, change the game you're playing, and maybe that makes a difference. And oftentimes you'll be able to, closely analyze what things you can be doing better. And I think arguably one of the biggest points is don't sit on it for too long. I would say start quickly. So if you fail, don't let it simmer. Don't cook in your failure. I think you need to be able to say, okay, I failed. I'm going to do these 3 things here and go again tomorrow and go again in a few days, or maybe go again next week. Don't let it eat you up and then keep you in bed and now you're doom scrolling and stuff like that. You got to take action and don't leave it too long, because I feel like you'll lose that fight. And yeah, that's really it from the top of my head. I feel like that's what's led to me, I guess, success in regards to my personal life, whether it be career or investing. I feel like that's how I've always kind of learned how to get back up. So yeah, a bit of a short video today. This just popped into my head when I was having a conversation with my brother. So it just made me think, yeah, man, like, I don't think people talk a lot about the importance of failure and how to actually fail better. So I just wanted to share that with someone out there that can probably benefit from that. But yeah, if you liked it, you can like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.